Hey everybody, Mazer here, and welcome back to another episode of Small Table. This is a small table, this is a dog, and I am Mazer. How y'all doing today? Today we're going to be discussing Mortal Kombat. Hold on, no. We did that wrong. Today we're going to be discussing Mortal Kombat! Much better. The 2021 reboot of the Mortal Kombat movie franchise. And it's giving everybody what they supposedly wanted, which was a gritty, hardcore, rated R, violent Mortal Kombat movie that is live action. I have to specify live action because last year we had Scorpion's Revenge, which was, god dang, was that thing violent. But we're not here to discuss Scorpion's Revenge, we're here to discuss Mortal Kombat 2021. Just a heads up, from this point on, we will be discussing spoilers, so you've been warned. So the story basically opens up with Hanzo Hasashi, who is known as Scorpion, living a nice peaceful life in a little farming village of the Shirai Ryu. It looks like he's a retired samurai, retired ninja. And his happiness is ruined when Bi-Han, also known as Subzero, shows up to slaughter his clan. After an epic fight, Scorpion ends up losing to Subzero, who murders him and, leaves because he's like, haha, I've destroyed the Hasashi bloodline. But no, you didn't, because there was a baby hidden under the floorboards. A baby who Raiden saves and takes away. We fast forward 600 years later to the present day, where the baby's descendant, Cole Young, is a washed-up MMA fighter who has apparently been chosen because of the Hasashi bloodline, to help represent Earthrealm in the 10th Mortal Kombat. The 10th Mortal Kombat being a tournament that determines the fate of Earthrealm, whether or not it will be allowed to survive, or will it be taken over by the evil realm of Outworld. So Cole has to meet up with other champions, such as Jax, Kano, Kung Lao, and Liu Kang, and they must team together and use the power of friendship to unlock their arcana, which is basically a movie term for magic. Shang Tsung, being the cheater that he is, decides to interfere before the tournament to kill Earth's champions, and he sends out his minions, Subzero, Molina, Cabal, and General Raiko, to kill Earth's champions before the tournament begins. Lots of fighting and blood and guts ensues, and in the end, we get the most amazing fight between Scorpion and Sub-Zero before leaving off to a teaser for the next movie. Okay, there you go. There's the basic overall storyline. Let's just dive right into the review. Let's not preamble or anything. Let's just get to the meat of the matter. What did I think of this movie? I loved it! Oh my god, I loved it! It was pretty much everything I wanted from a rated R Mortal Kombat. I had great fight scenes. I had good choreography. I had some very recognizable characters that looked like they just came right out of the game into reality. We had the campiness and humor of the 95 movie combined with the hardcore rated R blood and guts of Scorpion's Revenge. And it was fun. Is this a great movie in terms of writing? No. And even though I'll defend Mortal Kombat storylines and lore to the death, they're not Shakespeare people, okay? It's a bunch of magic men fighting immortals and gods and wizards and demons and wraiths and brotherhoods of shadows. Somebody once described Mortal Kombat as a kid with action figures slamming them against each other. Because you have a Hollywood star, you have robots, you have ninjas. There's a vampire later on in the franchise. She's actually in the movie. There's a guy with a frisbee hat. I mean, Mortal Kombat is just a live action cartoon, really, of a boy playing with his little action figures. That's really what Mortal Kombat is. And for me, that's fine. The 95 movie is hands down my number one favorite video game adaptation ever made. I love it. I still think it's very faithful to the original idea of Mortal Kombat. The actors were on point, especially Cary Tagawa, who plays Shang Tsung. Like, he is so iconic as Shang Tsung. They even brought him back for the Mortal Kombat YouTube series. And he just personifies this evil character. In the 95 version, the fights were pretty good. They actually hit each other. You could see the contact between the martial artists. The actor who plays Liu Kang actually broke some ribs during his fight with Reptile in the movie. It was visceral. It was, hardcore action. But a lot of people didn't like the fact it wasn't bloody and gutty and you didn't get all the fatalities. I respect that. But I still think the 95 version is fantastic. It's phenomenal. Now, we got the 2021 version, and we got all the blood, we got the guts, and it's just so gratuitous in that violence, and it just knows what it's all about, and it just dives headfirst into it, and it has a good time with it. And the reason I'm doing this review later than most people on YouTube is because I wanted to watch the movie twice. So I watched it when it came out. I had my fangasm. I waited a good week. And then I watched it again just before this review. I'm like, okay, let's sit down. All the hype is gone. I've read people's complaints. I've read everyone's criticisms. Let me see how I still feel. I sat down, I turned on the movie. I was still bouncing in my seat. I was washing dishes, and every time a serious fight showed up, I just stopped doing dishes. I just sat down. I was like, I love all of this. It's so much fun. We're going to go through pros and cons, and because negative reviews get a lot of attention for God knows why, let's do the cons first. There are a few problems with the movie that I have personally, but none of them are deal breakers. It's mostly with the way that we had a small runtime. And the biggest one I have is when they introduced Sonya Blade. She has this wall, a literal wall of text and exposition, and the whole explanation of Mortal Kombat through her is a little clunky. It kind of reminds me of Spider-Man Far From Home, when Mysterio is at the bar giving his big speech on how they did everything. It kind of pauses the movie to explain things to the audience. And I feel like when Sonya's explaining Mortal Kombat to Cole, it's kind of janky. It's kind of doesn't sound natural, if you get my drift. But luckily, after she does that, we get introduced straight to Kano, who's definitely going on the pros list and is absolutely hilarious. Let me see. Watching it the second time, I noticed a few strange cuts during the action scenes. There's this part where Subzero throws Hanzo against a tree. Then he walks on over to Hanzo, and Hanzo's now very far away from any trees. And he's kneeling, and it looks like he's even more injured than he was prior. And to me, it feels like there was a scene right between those two shots that were cut. Now, I can't verify this, but it was just a weird edit right there. A few other weird edits during the fights before Sonya throws her knife into Reptile. She does this weird twirl, and then it cuts to another angle where she's stabbing into Reptile. And again, a weird edit right there. And kind of a weird edit right before the guys go back when they get teleported away from Shang Tsung, where you see Kung Lao's hat fly through Raiden's portal. Now, there's a rumor that there's a deleted scene that Shang Tsung may have turned into Kung Lao and threw the hat at them, because the angles are different, and it seems like it was being thrown at Liu Kang instead of going towards him, like being summoned by them. I don't know. Honestly, that's mostly it for negatives, people. I mean, I know you're hoping to hear me go on these huge rants about Cole Young or how they killed off major characters, but really, they didn't bother me. okay? Cole Young, everyone keeps saying there was so much time dedicated to him, and yeah, there is. But right after meeting Sonya, Cole actually doesn't talk often. After they meet Sonya, there's a lot of back and forth between her and Kano. Cole says a few things, and then when they get to Raiden's temple, it's mostly Liu Kang, Kano, and Kung Lao doing all the talking. And Raiden, of course. You know what? I do have a con that I'll bring up right now, and that is Raiden and Shang Tsung. Both great actors. And I love that Shang Tsung just commands the presence of everyone. I like his sorcerer armor, his more traditional look. He basically looks like an armored wizard from a fantasy world, which I guess he kind of is. The problem with both characters is because of the runtime, they both are underutilized. Where Shang Tsung is the big bad in the first movie, Bi-Han is the big bad in this one. So Shang Tsung's more of a side character who's helping move the story along. And in the same vein, Raiden himself doesn't have much to do, much to say, but in the same breath, I gotta say, I love the fact that we get bitter Raiden. First, in Christopher Lambert, he sees them and he's like, okay, you're the chosen ones. I don't know, man. Earth might be in trouble. You guys are pretty good. But the fate of millions rests in your hands. And he starts laughing. He's like, ha, 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 ha. Sorry. So he's kind of a cynical Raiden, but he's like there to, like, he knows they'll do well. Our Raiden in the 2021 version is kind of like Zordon from the new Power Rangers. He looks at them, he's like, oh crap, we're screwed. We're so screwed. Okay, you're not chosen. This guy has his arms ripped off. You're this angry asshole. And Cole, who even are you? What are you? You're the bloodline of this amazing ninja, and you just get your butt kicked every day. Get out. In fact, he even tells Cole, you know what, out of all these guys, even the girl, even Sonya, who's not a champion, she can stay. Dude, Cole, you leave. Bye. So long. I thought that was really funny. Now, here's my thing, though. Here's my thing. A lot of people have complained on the internet, why doesn't Raiden use his teleportation to, like, save everybody or move, the bad guys away? Here's my thing. We have tough love Raiden. Okay, he looks at them and he's like, these are our champions. They're rough around the edges and we only have less than a month before the tournament starts. Okay, wait, Shang Tsung's here and he brought bad guys? Okay, I can work with this. Okay, so if we don't get their Arcana, they're going to die anyway. So I'm going to let Shang Tsung beat my boys. Because by training one-on-one, they're not in a life or death situation, so they're not as desperate. Shang Tsung's minions show up, and Raiden's like, I want to just step back a little bit and see if they actually live or die. Oh, good, they live. They're Arcana. Excellent. Shang Tsung, you did me a favor. Thank you. By the way, shut up. Teleport you away. That was so funny. So, yeah, I guess they were underutilized, and I get that because of the time. And I know a lot of people were saying that we didn't get enough screen time with the villains. To a point, I agree, but at this stage in the Mortal Kombat storyline, the villains chosen are not super important to the overarching story of Mortal Kombat. Molina doesn't really get into power until Mortal Kombat X. And Cabal, who's one of my favorite characters, by the way, he's basically just a gray villain. He's not really evil. He's not really good. He looks out for himself. And General Raiko is really just a glorified bodyguard of Shao Kahn. So he doesn't have much to do with the storyline. Now, Tara does have a lot to do with the storyline, but only in Deadly Alliance and Deception. And it's mostly background stuff. She's basically the reason Reptile becomes Onaga the Dragon King. But in Mortal Kombat 1, she serves no purpose. So I forgive them for getting killed off. That's fine, okay? We have 67 plus characters, people. It's okay that we kill a few of them off right now. Plus, they already established what Shang Tsung says, death is a portal. Okay, so we can just bring them back. That happened before, and maybe they'll be back as revenants. We don't know. So yeah, those are my complaints. Those are my very small complaints. Little nitpicks here and there. Let's get to the pros. Just go straight in. Number one, obviously, Subzero Scorpion. Best representation of their characters in a live-action media ever. Okay? Ever. I can't explain how excited I was. Both those parts felt like different movies, and I get that could be a total shift for people, but they were just so good. They were just fantastic. The original outfits, very subdued, very realistic in terms of the time period and everything. And then we switch it over to their armor versions of themselves, their downloadable skins, if you will. Scorpion in the golden samurai outfit, Sub-Zero in the silver, chrome, and blue armor. Oh, so cool. And they use their powers like... It's not like other video game adaptations where they use the power once or twice. No, Scorpion and Sub-Zero relied on their powers. Sub-Zero did the ice clone. He did the ice dagger. You know, he brought ice down from the sky. He threw it. He did the ice ball. He did ice mist. He did the freaking wall. He froze the blood. It was so sexy. And then you had Scorpion, and he not only used the spear, but he also used the swords. He spun the spear around like a rope, like freaking that scene from Kill Bill with the girl with the chain mace. I mean, this guy owned being Scorpion. Oh, so good. Oh, so damn good. Kano, it's hard comparing him to the original because I love both Kanos in both movies. In fact, the first movie's Kano was so iconic that they actually based Kano around the actor. So he was Australian from then on. Talk about just an iconic role, right? So they got a new Australian actor for this, and he is just so funny. He is dirty and crude and foul. He spits, he swears, he fights dirty. He's basically just this great comedic relief in the middle of the film, and you love to hate him. I mean, apparently they allowed the actor to ad-lib a lot of the insults and lines, and it showed because he was just shooting them left and right, left and right, left and right. And he had these great moments, like when Liu Kang is like, we'll work together, and he puts his hand on Kano, and Kano's like, what the f-? You know, like that. He had great comedic timing. I actually liked Sonya in this one. I like having Sonya actually like hunting down the tournament instead of being a non-believer as she was in the original movie. I thought she had just enough screen time. She's basically, you know, there to help Jax get his Arcana, but she has this really fun fight with Kano, and I love the fact that she uses everything around her. She's just not, fisticuffs. She uses knives. She uses glass jars. She threw a bottle of acetone in Kano's face. And unlike in the original movie where Kano basically manhandled and controlled the whole fight, in this one, they were pretty even. Kano had the bigger upper body strength, but Sonya had the agility and the martial arts training and the special forces training. And they hammered each other really well. It was just a really good claustrophobic fight scene. And I like seeing how brutal Kano is. He takes his thumb at one point and shoves it like all the way to the knuckle into this hole Molina stabbed in Sonya's shoulder. And that's what he does when they first meet up to when Kano betrays them. He just walks up to her, no real big preamble. He's just like, hey, baby, shove his finger in my, ah. He's just so wicked and fights so dirty. I loved it. And when he gets his eye laser, he is... The humor just skyrockets. Kung Lao and Liu Kang look just like their video game counterparts, especially Kung Lao. And I have to say that during the fight scenes with Kung Lao, I noticed a lot of his combos taken straight from the game. He did the rapid fire punch, the right there. He did his high knee to the low kick to the ankle and kneecap. And yeah, they got the combos the characters actually use in the games and put them in the movie. And that was very apparent with how Kung Lao fought. You also see some of Kano's moves like the headbutt and some of Jax's power punches. But the combos really hit hard when you watch Kung Lao fighting Kano and fighting Cole. Liu Kang, again, very good portrayal of Liu Kang. What surprised me, though, is when Liu Kang takes off his shirt to spar with Kano, he flexes, and this dude just goes like, God dang Master Roshi, because with his shirt on, he seems like a, athletic dude, but when he took the shirt off, he's like, boom! I'm Liu Kang, bitch! I mean, he just like supered up. I'm like, this guy is ripped! I like seeing his fireballs. I like seeing his fighting style. I do feel his anguish when Kung Lao is killed off. I thought it was a believable performance, especially when he said we were supposed to die together. They've always had a very fun relationship in the games. It's kind of a brotherhood, and it's kind of a rivalry between the two of them because they're both trying to one-up each other. And I like that in this one, Liu Kang's like, no, Kung Lao's the best one of us. And it showed, because in the one fight scene Kung Lao did, where he killed someone, he didn't get hit once. Freaking Natara flies down, he jumps on her back and throws her through his hat, cutting her in half. And mind you gotta watch this again. When she's getting cut in half, he has this expression on his face like, yeah! Eat it! Yeah! As the blood spraying on him. He's loving it, which follows the arrogance and cockiness that is Kung Lao. So I really appreciated that. Jax was very well done for the character he's portraying. Jax has never been a super in-depth character, at least not till like MK11, where he's basically like, I want to be left alone. I'm sick of all this crap. Before all that, he was pretty gung-ho to fight on the side of good. So Jax is pretty good. In terms of the villains, we don't see much of Raiko. He just basically grunts and screams a lot. Which, for what the character is, I don't mind. You just need a big bad guy. And like I said, he's Shao Kahn's bodyguard, really, in the grand scheme of things. So I don't mind that he didn't get a backstory. Molina is a little more underutilized in terms of villains, considering that, she's been around since the second game, and she's like one of the most renowned villains. But I'm pretty sure we'll see Molina again. We have these theories, my friends and I, that this might not be the official Katana clone. That this Molina might have been a prototype Katana clone. I don't know. But the villain I want to talk about the most here is my boy, one of my second favorite character in the whole franchise since MK3, Kabal. Man, he was perfect. He was wonderful. Like I said with Scorpion and Subzero, their armor was on point. They took the characters from the game, they brought them into the real world. And they did that with Kabal. Now, there's so many times when a studio interferes with character designs, or the writers try to go super realistic with the character design to explain why they look the way they do. And the first thing I think of is Bane from Dark Knight Rises. In Bane, they explain the reason he has this mask is because it's painkillers. Because his body's in constant pain from all the stuff he's put himself through. He doesn't have venom. He doesn't bulk up or anything. So they took the Bane concept, but they gave it a real-world idea. Okay? And then you have like the original X-Men movie. They're like, oh no, if we have bright yellow spandex, that will look silly. So instead, we're going to give them leather suits and change their whole look to make it more realistic. Mortal Kombat 2021's like, nope, there's Kabal. His respirator makes no sense. It's like a monster with glowing red eyes and tubes everywhere. His bulky backpack. He just make him look like he does in the game. Down to the last detail, which they spent a lot of time on that detail. You could look at his arms, and you could see his arms are charred and burned, which is how he got injured to begin with. He got burned alive, and he couldn't breathe, so the Black Dragon hooked him up with this respirator. And they mentioned that in the movie. They don't just gloss over. This is not a, Xavier meets Juggernaut, and they just glance at each other, but they don't, they don't mention that they know each other. They kept the lore accurate. Cabal knows Kano. Kano put Cabal in the outfit. They have a history. They are like weird frenemies, and I loved it. And Cabal did his one-liners. You think I should slow down? As he was whooping on Liu Kang, and the writer and director are like, you know what? Screw it. Just have him super speed. Arcana. Arcana, whatever it's called. Magic! Alright? We don't need any explanations past that. Magic! He's super fast, okay? Liu Kang throws fireballs. Kano has lasers out of his eyes. Who cares? It's magic, and I love that. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Arcana because it's like a silly notion. Okay, you got to trigger something inside of you that ignites the fire of passion, and it will be basically what you need, or whatever, okay? So they hint that Liu Kang got fired because of his rage at, stopping the child trafficking. Cole has his armor to protect his family and that, for defense, because he's a very offensive fighter. So that balanced him out. With Kano, he sees red because he's always angry, so he literally sees red. And Jax is Arcana his arms, and Kung Lao's his hat. And you know what? I don't care. They got their powers. They gave a reason. It's over with. It's done. It was fine. It's fun. It's exciting. And it gives a good reason to why they can use their powers all the time instead of like once or twice in a movie. So that works. And to be honest, it's not as silly as what we get in the game. I mean, it's just as silly as what we get in the game. So, just a quick rant. In Mortal Kombat X, Johnny Cage is like finally noticing that he throws green fireballs out of his hand, and he has this green energy despite having it for like the entirety of the franchise. And it turns out that his bloodline or something is from ancient gods or Aztecs or something to that effect. So he inherited these powers from this bloodline of his. And he only now noticed 10 games in. But before that, he was a Hollywood star. He had no special powers, but yeah, he could still throw fireballs and do, shadow kicks. And Sonya could shoot rings out of her wrists. And that gets retconned into her having these bracelets, these mechanical bracelet weapons. But originally, she just shot rings out of her wrists. Who cares? So, I'm all worked up. I can't pronounce it. The Arcana is nowhere near as ridiculous, too ridiculous compared to the lore of Mortal Kombat itself. So that's fine. I thought it was just a good reason to give these guys their powers so we could have fun. And that's the key to all this. We had fun. Let's get to the gore real fast. Oh, God, it was so delicious. Natara steals the show by being split in half by Kung Lao's hat. That was just absolutely gore-tastic. Watching Raiko get his head. I was afraid they'll just do like a horror movie crush, right? But no, it was more like a pop. He's just like, ooh, that was really loud, sorry. Yeah, but he does a real, bang, and the guy's head just explodes like a water balloon, and I love that. Seeing Sonya's like MK11 fatality by blowing the hole through Molina, that was really cool. And of course you have, Scorpion's flame breath. Now that was a change on a classic. Because when he starts removing his mask, I'm like, what are they going to do? Is he going to peel off his face? That might be a little too video gamey for what they're doing. So he breathes the fire, and then you see his face charring off and the skull underneath. That was cool. That was just a beautiful representation of Scorpion's Hellfire fatality, and I loved it. So, obviously, I enjoyed most of the movie, and a lot of the complaints other people were having, it doesn't bother me. And it's not me trying to be different or being blinded by my love of the game. It's just really, Mortal Kombat, when you boil it down, is a live-action cartoon, and the movie knew that. It gave it the silliness it deserved. It gave it the seriousness it deserved. It gave it the love it deserved. And everybody who worked on this seemed to know the lore and history of Mortal Kombat very well. For example, now let's just talk about small things I enjoyed. Number one, speaking of lore, they actually stuck to the original Mortal Kombat concept very well. Now, a lot of people have been complaining. Scorpion's in Netherrealm. Where's Quan Chi? Where's Quan Chi's manipulation? Where is these characters? Where is this? Here's the problem with those arguments, in my opinion. This is not MK11. This is not MK9. This is not X. And this is not 4. All right, this seems to be the start of 1 through 3. And they're following the major plot line of Mortal Kombat 1. Not the redone, storyline in 9. I mean the original 1993 Mortal Kombat 1. Let me explain. In MK1, there were no real chosen ones. Everybody was lured to the island by different means. Kano went to Shang Tsung's island to look for treasure. In this movie, he goes to Raiden's temple to look for treasure. Sonya goes to the island not to fight in the tournament, but because she's after Kano. And while this one retconned that a little bit, she's still following Kano around to get to the temple. And she's helping out the other characters. Liu Kang, again, not a chosen one in the original. He's just a Shaolin monk. And he joins the tournament because he feels it's corrupted by Shang Tsung's minions. And this one, he's also not the chosen one. They hint that it's Kung Lao that's the chosen one, obviously before he dies. So he doesn't have this I am the chosen one moment, where everything relies on Liu Kang. Scorpion returns only for the tournament in the original storyline. He's not part of Shang Tsung's forces. He's not fighting anyone else. He's only there to kill Bi-Han. And Bi-Han was there because Shang Tsung employed the Lin Kuei to basically act as guards. Okay? So, in terms of the original game storyline, this was pretty damn accurate. Alright? With all the other characters, it's pick and choose. Like, they got the accuracy right with Cabal. They didn't do much with Molina, and that's fine. The idea of Shang Tsung cheating is nothing new. The idea of Outworld cheating is nothing new. And the idea of Raiden kind of kick back and letting the people do what they want and only interfering when it's in his best interest, again, nothing new. In fact, it's a common joke with MK11. Let me consult the elder gods. And he vanishes instead of helping everybody fight. So yeah, honestly, if people really want to complain about how their characters were not represented right, go watch Mortal Kombat Conquest. I just watched a few episodes. It's on HBO Max. You guys want to complain? Go watch that. Okay? The Mortal Kombat soap opera that took so many liberties with the characters' origins and what they did and who dies. You want something to complain about, you go watch that. I still like Mortal Kombat Conquest. But go watch that right now. Pause the video. Go watch Conquest. You'll be surprised at the quality of that show. It's not Annihilation bad. Actually, it's hands over fist better than Annihilation. But Mortal Kombat Conquest, good God, dude. So, there you have it. Am I upset that certain characters died? Not at all, because we still got 67 more characters to go through. Am I upset about the Arcana? No, because if it's not going to be Arcana, it's just going to be called Magic, or Chi, or the inner power inside of you, or some bollocks reason to why each character uses magic. I do agree with some complaints. Some characters are underutilized. I honestly have no issues with Cole Young. In the grand scheme of things, I don't mind. He's a character, and he does well enough for who he is and what he's there to do. And actually, I kind of like the guy. I do enjoy watching his fights. I love the tongue-in-cheek humor from the games, like the sweep kick trick against Kano. If you look in the background when Jax is fighting Subzero, you could see graffitied on the wall, down, right, low punch, which was very funny. There is one detail I'll bring up, and that is the fire. Liu Kang's fire is very calm and peaceful. And this is about detail. Calm, peaceful. Scorpion's fire has a lot of sparks, and it pops. And it looks like, when logs burst and you have, embers everywhere. Scorpion's is a chaotic fire. Liu Kang's is a peaceful fire. I love the humor. And, yeah. Overall, I enjoyed it. Here's the thing. If I have to break this down, it was fun. It was fun. We need more fun movies. Movies have gotten so serious, and rather it's like they have to be big budget, blockbuster films. Hit the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and everything. And we kind of started losing track of small fun movies. And this is what I said with Kong versus Godzilla, or Bill and Ted's, Bill and Ted 3. Sometimes it's okay to not have a Shakespearean Oscar-worthy script, as long as it's fun. As long as you're entertained, you get sucked in, and you get excited to watch it. That's how I felt. Is this me excusing a bad movie? No, because I don't find the movie bad. It's not the best. It has rough edges due to budget and time constraints. I honestly feel as a whole the 95 movie is more coherent. It has a better tone and a better overall plot. The whole tournament is done in this movie, or this is the 2021 version's a prequel. But it's not a bad movie. Trust me, I see bad movies a lot. So, yeah. It has problems. Maybe it needs more polish. This is one of those movies that definitely need the sequel to build upon. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I've watched it twice, a week apart, and I was still as hyped and as pumped as I was the second time as I was the first time. And I was never bored. There was not that part in the movie where I wish I could just fast forward to get to the fights. No, I enjoyed all of it. Could it be better in some parts? Yes. Could it be a little longer, take a little more time with the characters? Yes. Is it god-awful? No. Is it worse than Annihilation? Hell no. So, it is a great chapter to the live-action versions of Mortal Kombat, meaning the 95, the TV series, the YouTube series, and now this. So there you have it. That's my personal opinion on Mortal Kombat 2021. So let me know in the comments, what was your favorite fatality? What was your favorite scene? Which character do you feel like they got perfect? Which character do you feel like they messed up on? Whose outfit looked the best? Which character looked more accurate to the games? And who was just so far removed from the games you don't even know why they were chosen to be in the movie. Let me know. I read all your comments. I really do. I try to respond to most of them. So thank you for joining me on this episode of The Roundtable. I am Mazer. This is Jack, and we will see you all next time. Bye.